All right, guys, why do I like working with companies whose visionary and CEO is super overwhelmed? Why? I'll tell you in a minute. All right, my name is Chris Stadler, and I'm an operations consultant who loves EOS, the entrepreneurial operating system. I'm a high level project manager who gets people focused, communicating, and moving in the right direction. Why do I love working with visionary organizations that are disorganized? A lot of times it's because it's so satisfying to do the work because it's like taking a power washer to something that hasn't been power washed in a long time. Or what else is satisfying to do? What else is like super satisfying work where you can see such a difference between what it looked like before and now what it looks like now, right? Where before, like, people were like the owner of the company is like, I can't take a vacation, I can't leave, I can't trust anybody, I can't grow, there's too much stuff that I have to do myself, right? And there's too little that I can ask other people help for. Nobody can read my mind, and it's frustrating, right? And wouldn't it be great if you could have people be able to read your mind, if you could have your whole organization be able to read your mind and understand what they should be doing when you're not there, whether you're there or not, whether you're on vacation in Mexico for a month or whether you're back running your company. um, they can read your mind. They know what they're supposed to be doing. And if you needed to sell the company tomorrow, you could. Like, wouldn't it be cool, right? And that's a cool goal. Well, as a an operations consultant, that's kind of my goal for you. And why do I like working with visionaries like this is because, man, there's so much pressure. There's so much pressure, and there's not a lot of understanding of like, where do I start, right? It's kind of like it's kind of like if you have a task list and, like, there are 20 things due today, but there are like 100 things overdue, and you've lost track of what your priorities are, and you have to do everything. You can't go out and meet with people to bring in business because you're constantly worried about, like, how are we going to deliver? How are we going to deliver? We're already stressed. Something's going to break anytime now. And so, and a lot of times the visionary is motivated, but over motivated needs, and they need to be motivated. If you're already burned out, it's like, man, um, it's a little late. It's not too late, but it's getting late. Um, if you're overwhelmed though, that's a key. That you need organization. You need cleanup, right? You might be under a lot of pressure from investors, and they understand the need for order and to build a company that makes sense, right? So, again, I don't like working with big companies because they've kind of lost their souls, but orderly companies, yeah. The disciplined companies, yeah. That's the whole point, right? And so, or people who want that. And so, maybe things are messy, chaotic, but people are motivated. Even employees are motivated, right? I mean, employees are motivated. They're like the ones who are cynical, man, they may need to leave. But the ones who are like, man, I'm frustrated because I want to be doing a better job and I want more support in being able to do my job and treat clients better and take care of them. And I want systems, and I don't want to just, like, write a thank you note and send it out and then forget the next time and never do it again. I want to slowly build momentum. Let's say I'm a salesman. Um, I want to slowly build momentum. I don't want everything to be different one way, one day to the other, to where you can't build momentum. We're spending money on things that don't get finished. And good employees want to see that. They want to feel like, okay, there's momentum building, right? Like, things aren't happening maybe at lightning speed, but we're building momentum and things are getting better. And now the employees are like, I might have a future here and I might want to be here longer. And I'm going to go home and I'm going to feel better about my job. And I'm not going to complain to my wife or whatever, right? So, um, visionary organizations led by a CEO who are motivated and overwhelmed. That's a good magical combination because You need basic organization without excuses. You need to be able to talk about problems, talk about issues, and be able to move through them and have someone support that and have someone make sense of that for other people. And that's why I love it, because I love sitting in the middle and helping things get made sense of. Because ultimately what you want is you want organization, you want peace, you want to be able to take a vacation. You don't want to work 60, 80-hour weeks or anything like that. You want to be able to kind of come in, you want to feel like things are under control, you want to make your phone calls, you want to do the stuff that's on your list, and then you want to be able to look outside, enjoy the sunshine. You want to be able to make your kids ball games, grandkids things, whatever, right? You want that kind of freedom and that kind of, you want a little bit of pressure, but not that much, right? Not more than you can handle. And so, um, and so why I like organizations like this is just because there's a ton of low hanging fruit, and there never is not low hanging fruit. I've never seen an organization where the visionary is overwhelmed. You're still making money though. The things are kind of hanging on by a thread. It's hard. It's a slog, and there's no one there who is like doing that high level project management or making sense of it for people. And I've never seen an organization like that not have a ton of low hanging fruit that makes everyone happier, like pretty much immediately. And I've kind of stumbled into the process before, working at different places where I was like, hey, we just need to talk about the problem a little bit. Can we just have a meeting or we just kind of talk about the problems and define those a little bit? And that was a good process. It wasn't a formal process, but it was a good process and it worked really well. And then when I see the entrepreneurial operating system formalize that process, I'm like, yeah, that's really the language we should be speaking, or some other process like it, right? It doesn't have to be EOS, but something like that, where it creates space for the visionary, for you to do your job, for you to maybe your sales. You're the visionary and you're responsible for revenue and sales. That's your job. But then you're sharing your vision with that person that it's called an integrator in EOS language, and you're sharing your vision with that person, and that person spends the time, invests the time to sit with you and understand that once a month, and make sure that they understand the what and the why really well. And you guys are on the same page now. And so now that person, because they're operationally minded, they care about getting the work done. Now to they're helping your COO, they're helping your CMO, they're helping all the functions of the business line up, and they're the ones who go and they talk to these people, and they're just like, okay, hey, here's what the visionary wants, and here's why, and I'm going to help you understand. I'm going to hang out with you until you understand it. And maybe it'll take, months to get you really to understand it. But once we do, or maybe we find out that your CMO is not the best fit. And that's okay too. And there are ways to deal with that without just like firing them or whatever, right? Um, and none of this stuff, these band-aids don't have to be ripped off. The honesty has to be there right at the beginning. And so that's why I like motivation, because if you're under stress, you're overwhelmed, now you're more motivated to just deal with things and just be like, look, I can't play around with these problems anymore. They just need to get solved. Things just need to start getting solved, right? And I'm not going to protect any sacred cows, right? Things need to get solved. And so a lot of times maybe there's no previous person who filled this role. And I personally like to be fractional. I don't want to be full time anywhere. I don't want to be full time at a company. I want to be fractional because that gives me the opportunity to work with someone who is full time, but maybe who is junior. Maybe you don't want to spend 150,000, $250,000 on a full time integrator and COO with all kinds of experience. Maybe you'd rather get someone who understands your industry a little bit, and your future chief operations officer, and then there's you, and then the reason I like being a fractional is because then I get to make sure you guys are talking. I get to help you guys develop that relationship while I'm working at the same time. but I'm not the one who's there for the long term. That COO is the one who's there for the long term. So you can afford to hire someone local without as much experience in management, leadership, and problem solving, but maybe who really likes that industry and who is going to be your COO in the future. And so that's why I like doing it, because I'm not the person who does all the work. I'm the person who asks good questions and I ask for help. And so I'm asking good questions from you, and then I'm turning around and asking good questions from your COO, your CMO, your HR person, um, asking them good questions, and then and making sure they understand what they're doing and why they're doing it, because I have talked to you and I understand your point of view on those things. And so, and then the COO, I think, is also a very interesting part of it, because they can be raised up to replace me for the long term at the organization. And so I love it when there's no previous integrator, because people like it when when it happens, when there's no previous person like me in that spot. Um, or maybe your previous one just wasn't up to the task. Maybe they were just too low level and they couldn't take initiative, right? They didn't take the initiative, or they couldn't yet. Maybe that's your future COO we're training up, right? And so let's see what else. Maybe yeah, maybe the last one was too nice and polite and couldn't be direct and couldn't ask good questions like that. So it's fun to be a integrator when there wasn't one before. There's lots of work to do and lots of low hanging fruit, and it's like lots of quick wins that happen right away. Then after some of those quick wins start petering out, we now have a schedule, we have stability, and everybody's feeling better about their jobs. And then we take on new things as we have the time and the budget to do it. We're not stressing everything out, but we are moving forward aggressively, but not in a way that overwhelms anyone, because we've put things in place. Everybody's clear on what you want, and things can start moving in a more predictable way with less stress, um, still productive, still moving forward aggressively, but just less stress, less overwhelm, less inability to gather your thoughts, less waking up at night and thinking about things that you forgot about that are important, and now you can't sleep, right? Less of that. And so why do I like working with companies that have a visionary who's motivated and maybe a little bit overwhelmed? I love it because of all the low hanging fruit and all the hope that can come once you get that right person there, that manager, that person who can really make sense of your vision for the entire organization and can help it run without you, without you being there every single day, doing every single thing. All right. I appreciate you guys listening to me. And I hope this has been helpful and encouraging for you. There are plenty of integrators out there. EOS integrator is what you're looking for if you do a web search or something like that. I know some implementers. Reach out to me if you want to get an integrator. I am a fractional integrator, but if you need me to connect you with other fractional integrators who are a better fit for you, or you want to talk to an implementer, and we can talk about that too, someone who helps you implement EOS specifically, then I can help you with that too. So one of the biggest things you can do, I think, as a business owner is ask good questions and ask for help. And that's really, that's really what I'm trying to do. And then you want to make sure you get to a place where you can rely on that help. You're entering into the right partnerships. You're not waiting too long. You're not doing it too quickly. You're moving at a pace that makes sense for you. And so, again, I'd love to talk with you. Leave some comments below. You can go to my website if you want. I'm pretty sure it's going to be in the YouTube. So it's been a pleasure talking with you. We'll talk with you next time.